Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1295. I'm late, but I'm actually early this morning. So the reason I'm late is the same reason why I'm early. Does that make any sense? No. But I'm going to tell you why it does make sense. So yesterday, I forgot to share that I was going to be late today because I was taking Ernie to doggy daycare. So Ernie needs some playtime with other puppies, and mom and dad need some away from Ernie time too. So we're taking him to doggy daycare. So they do what's like a temperament test. So I thought it was like an interview at doggy daycare. I thought. So yesterday we actually played with the neighbor dog is Golden Doodle Rookie, and we went over and our neighbors were away. So my wife was like, "Can Rookie and Ernie play?" They're like, "Well, we're not home, but you can go in and bring him out." So Rookie and Ernie played in the backyard, and my wife and I were talking about doggy daycare. So we had their temperament tests, interview, whatever it is. They only do it at like 7 a.m. My wife is not a 7 a.m. person. So she's like, "Can you take him at 7?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'll just go late. How long?" And she's like, "Oh, it's probably half an hour." And I'm like, "Okay, so I'll be back by 8:30. I'll go live." Kind of like an extended weekend for Hobby Evolution. So we're like, she was explaining because when my wife and I first met and started dating, Biscuit was going to doggy daycare, but like the temperament test was before we met. So I didn't know how the temperament test worked. It was basically like behavioral and how does your puppy get along with others and all that stuff. So my wife's like, "Oh, it's like a 15-minute deal. You'll be in and out." Like, "Oh, okay." So we go this morning, and I realized here's another thing. I realized my gas light comes on. Now I didn't have the display. Usually I have the display like miles to empty, and I haven't. And my gas light's been on, but I just put around the post office and Walmart and the grocery store. So I don't pay much attention to my how much gas I have. So gas light's on. I'm like, "Oh, how many miles to empty after this? Maybe I'll go 0." Oh shit, how long have I been on 0? So I pulled the Seinfeld, and like I'm gonna not that I wanted to see how far I could. I've done that before, and I've passed and I've failed. I did one time run out of gas right as I pulled up to the pump. That was like that's goals right there. I've run out of gas before. So I'm at 0, taking a risk, and I'm like, we're going to Dogtopia, which is the name of the doggy daycare. We're going to Dogtopia first, and then I'll get gas afterwards. So by the way, I did make it. We did make it to doggy daycare, and then there's a quick trip right across the street. So I was able to get gas before I ran out. So doggy daycare, we pull up to Dogtopia. There's like 7 people. Like there's like 2 people behind the counter. There's like dudes wearing like yellow fluorescent vests. Apparently they're like, I thought they were just like dropping their dog off or something. I don't know. Apparently they work for Dogtopia. And I think all 7 people that were in there worked for Dogtopia. And I'm like, what is going on in here? So I just kind of walk up, and there's like 2 people in front of me, 3 people in front of me at the counter. Nobody has a dog with them. So I assume they were all working at Dogtopia. I didn't know that as we walked in. So I just kind of like look at each person like, "Are any of you?" Nobody says, "Can I help you?" I'm like, ugh. So one of the guys did, and I'm like, "This is Ernie, but we've got like an appointment, like an interview or something." And he just kind of like, oh, and then he goes and sits back down. And then another guy comes up and he's like, oh, who's this? And I'm like, this is Ernie. We have a 7:00 appointment. And he's like, oh, a meet and greet. I'm like, yeah, meet and greet. So the other guy that initially was going to help me, he's like, I'll just let you take this. Okay. All right. So we got this. And so he's like, do you have the vaccination? So here's where there was some disconnect between my wife's knowledge of the meet and greets and the reality. So when we were out talking about doggy daycare, I'm like, so how does this, like, do I leave Ernie there? Like, do I stay? Am I involved? Like, how does the process work? And my wife's like, oh, it's like 15 minutes. And they just like, they test and they do like this just to make sure he doesn't like get pissed off and bite you. I'm like, well, if somebody pulled on my ear, I can bite him. What the hell? Anyway, she's like, yeah, it's like 15. Okay, in and out. And I'm like, okay, what about like, don't they want to know, like, because my wife doesn't put his rabies tag on. I'm like, you're supposed to do that. And she's like, oh, I never did that with Biscuit. I'm like, oh, okay. You're supposed to. And I'm like, they're not just going to take a dog off the street to like mix him with other dogs. And she's like, well, they can reach out to the vet. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to do that if I worked at doggy. Like, no, you do that. You bring us. We're not going to call. So then they're like, this is so the meet and greets, and they're telling me the meet and greets are like a long process. It's like 2 to 3 hours. And I'm like, oh, wow. And they're like, probably like 10:30. And I'm like, that's 3.5 hours, but okay. That even better for me. I can get some work done this morning. And I'm like, cool. So do I just come back at 10:30? And they're like, well, we'll call you. I'm like, okay. And they're like, but we need your vaccination records before we can get started with the other dogs. And I'm like, okay, Dr. Sondel has them. And they're like, well, have them send them to us. I'm like, oh, okay. So I come home, I get gas. I come home. My wife's like, so where is he? And I'm like, well, he's at doggy daycare. It's like a 3-hour thing. And she's like, it is? I thought it was 15 minutes. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, before they can get started, they need his vaccination records. They do? I'm like, well, yeah, of course they do. And she's like, well, where is he now? And I'm like, he's there. Well, what are they doing with him? I don't know. My wife needs to know every detail of everything. That's where we're opposites. I'm like, I just drop him off and I hope for the best. She's like, well, what did you ask? And I'm like, well, no, because you were telling me everything about it. Like you knew what was going on. She's like, well, obviously I didn't. I'm like, I didn't know that yesterday and this morning. I couldn't predict the future. And she's like, so I hope they don't have him in a crate. And I'm like, well, me neither, but he's there. And they need the vaccinations. So she's like, oh, vet doesn't open till 8. And I'm like, okay, so I'm leaving her in charge of that. So Ernie is at doggy daycare, hopefully getting played with and getting loved on. So that's the update. So I am, so that's why I'm both late and early. So I'm late by design, but I'm also early because I didn't expect to be this early. I thought it was going to be like 8:30 before I was able to come on because of the doggy daycare stuff. So yesterday was a really productive day and a productive day. And I watched the entire Bears game. What a game. Bear down, Chicago. Now, I understand. Let's temper the emotions. They play the Carolina Panthers, who they like freaking the ripoff of the century in our favor for Chicago Bears fans. A great game, albeit against the Carolina Panthers. It doesn't matter. A win's a win. The Bears are now 3-2. Remember my prediction, 10-7 with a playoff win. That's my Chicago Bears prediction. 3-2 now. Caleb Williams threw for over 300 yards yesterday. He has now thrown for over 300 yards in 2 of his first 5 games as a Chicago Bears quarterback. Justin Fields did that one time in 3 years. Even sadder, an even sadder stat for Chicago Bears quarterbacks. Going back the entire history of the Chicago Bears, the record for most 300-yard passing games is 4. Now, it's been done multiple times, but it's never been done 5 times in a season. I think Mitch Trubisky was the last Chicago Bears quarterback to throw 300 yards or more in 4 games in one season. Caleb Williams has done it twice in his first 5 games. So bear down Chicago, a good win. There were times, especially in the second quarter, it was 14-7, and the Bears had with like under 2 minutes. And what happened? Something happened. I don't know if it was a turnover or they had to punt, but it was, and they also got the ball. The Bears would receive to start the second half. So there's like 2 minutes left. The Bears are up by 1 touchdown. It would have been great to tack on another score before halftime. But what could have happened was Carolina could have scored. It could have been a tie game at halftime. It could have been a big swing. However, Carolina then turned the ball over themselves on the ensuing drive, and the Bears did capitalize on that turnover. So it was 21-7 at halftime. And then the Bears scored in the second half to make it. They missed the extra point. So it was 27-7. What was the final? Was it 30-7 or something? But anyway, it was a great game. Big win for the Chicago Bears. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars this coming Sunday. And I think that's an early game because it's in London. So Bears and Jags in London this Sunday, which sucks because I'll be at the Janesville Card Show this Sunday, which is great, but it also sucks because I'm going to miss the game. I wish it was a 3:00 game so I could do the card show and get back. But what channel is the London game on? I think it's on, is it on Amazon? If it's on Amazon, I can just watch the replay. However, people at the card show are going to be talking about it, but I mean, it'll give me something to watch. I guess 36-10 was the final score. I was way off. What did I say? 30-7, 36-10. So that was a fun win. We've got some Bears chat. So let's talk about Bears. And then I want to talk about what I did yesterday and how I was productive. I was not productive. Actually, I was productive watching the Bears game because I did list auctions. Max says they gave Fields nothing. Now, that is true. Caleb Williams does have wide receivers, yes. Caleb Williams has a better defense on the other side, although Justin Fields had a good defense as well. Not as good as what the Bears have now, but he had a decent defense. Offensive line is, you could say the offensive line is worse now, although they looked okay, but they were playing the Carolina Panthers. Offensive line is brutal. It was brutal with Justin Fields. It was brutal with Mitch Trubisky. It was brutal with Jay Cutler. Fields is doing pretty decent on a good team this year. Same with Trubisky. Pushed them both out. Yeah, neither quarterback, Trubisky or Fields, had much of a chance in Chicago. But Caleb Williams is a much better quarterback than Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky already. I mean, look at how much you can watch it from a week-to-week basis. And Caleb Williams has improved. He's made better decisions. I am so excited. This is not me being Pollyanna, because the play on the field, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams has improved each game out. And it's been really fun to watch him grow in just 5 games. Okay. Where are we at? There was another Bears comment from Max. Williams looked decent yesterday, but temper your expectations. I understand it's the Carolina Panthers. Zach says Bears historically laid eggs against crappy teams when they were average or slightly above average. Very true. That's a good point. Where I believe they are right now. Nice to see a dominating win. Absolutely. that was a win. It was a dominating win for the Bears, and it's exactly what they needed against a team like Carolina. Give them hopefully some momentum against Jacksonville. What's Jacksonville this year? I don't know. Trevor Lawrence cards aren't selling like hotcakes, so I assume they're not doing that well. But he's also in his third year. Nobody wants third year card or third year rookies of third year players. Jaguars did beat the Colts. Now it was the Colts, but the Colts did beat the Bears. So high scoring game, 37-34. Jags, that was their first win. So the Bears meet up with a Jacksonville team that's struggling this year, 1-4, and then the Bears play the Patriots, who are also 1-4. So this is a nice little stretch on the schedule for the Chicago Bears. Zach and Porter says, loved Fields. I am with you. I do agree. His ceiling is Caleb's floor. Also agree, 100%. Right system, Fields can be good, but the Bears were looking to enter the forward pass era of footballs. They skipped the first 30 years of it. I agree with every part of this comment. I loved Justin Fields. Going back to last April or March, my ideal scenario in that frame of time was I wanted the Bears to keep Justin Fields, trade down, and get draft picks and draft an offensive line. Get an offensive line in the first round. They had they would have had two. Even trading down, they would have had a couple first round picks, depending on what they would have got. But use one of those picks. They still could have taken Rome Odunze, but with another pick they could have got. I don't know who was. I can't remember what the draft order was, but one of the offensive tackles or somebody on the offensive line. That's what I wanted in that for when the Bears traded Justin Fields. Then it was like, okay, I don't like it, but I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to root for Caleb Williams. And now I am a huge Caleb Williams fan, and he's looked phenomenal. But I agree, Justin Fields, yeah, he's doing well in Pittsburgh, and that's great to see. But Caleb Williams is a far better quarterback. And even now, like right now, Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. Let's see. Zach says Fields' line is similar to now. His threat of running took a lot of pressure off them, and now their warts are at the surface. David says Bears Jags on NFL Network next week. Okay, so will I be able to watch that on replay? I don't know. I guess I could record it. I could certainly record it. I'll have to remember that. I got a Post-it note right next to me. I'm going to post it. That note, record Bears on NFL Network. Okay. It'll give me something to watch on Sunday afternoon after the card show. Sunday night. Well, right there on the scanner. Right there. Okay. Max says the D is better. Keenan Allen, Odunze, Swift. You can't say that already. It was the Panthers. I said it was the Panthers. I mean, that was I prefaced my entire Bears conversation with temper your expectations. I understand it was the Carolina Panthers. The D is better. There are weapons, but the offensive line, I agree with everything you say here. I didn't say otherwise. The D is better, slightly better. There are weapons. Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze are much better than whoever the Bears, Darnell Mooney and whoever else they had. DeAndre Swift is a better running back, but up until yesterday, look at Swift's numbers before yesterday. And that's how bad so you can take your DeAndre Swift and take a look at his first 4-game stats. And that's nothing on DeAndre Swift. That's how bad the offensive line. I think the offensive line is actually worse this year than it has been the last couple of years. Zach says it's 2024. No one cares about the 70s or Frank Thomas. John says Williams will be defined by how he adjusts to make those adjustments to his tendencies. And he has made the adjustments game after game, which is that is the number one, and that's what I saw on what's the show, the Hard Knocks. That was what I was most impressed with. Now it's a lot easier said than done. You can say everything and blah 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 blah, but until you actually prove it on the field, that's what really matters. But I was impressed with, in the film session on Hard Knocks, Caleb Williams, like understanding the mistakes he made in a preseason game. And he's like, so this is what I should have done. Now, I'm sure every quarterback does that. But I was watching Caleb Williams on Hard Knocks, and I was impressed by that. Now, we have been through 5 games, and we are seeing him adjust. We are seeing him make mistakes, but fewer and fewer mistakes. That first game, like everybody, you're like, oh, look at your number 1 quarterback. Well, it's the first fucking game. Look at Peyton Manning's first entire season. And so game 2, less mistakes. Yeah, he still made some bad throws, made some poor decisions. Game 3, less mistakes. Game 4, less mistakes. Game 5, less mistakes. Max says, you aren't tempering them, though. Yes, I am. How am I not? It's the fucking Carolina Panthers. They're the worst team in football. It's a game they were supposed to win by a lot, and they did. Like, I don't understand. I've watched 5 Bears games, Max. How many Bears games? How many complete Bears games have you watched? I have watched all 5 games. I have seen the improvement by Caleb Williams, regardless of the opponents. He is making better decisions. He is a better quarterback each game out. Dan says, what is he doing that isn't tempering them, though? I don't know. I even started the conversation saying, temper your expectations. It was the Carolina Panthers. What else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to paint it on my chest? George says, keep talking about NFL, and I'm going to get on a conference call with John and watch the Peaky dance. John says, a few losses and the Bears' dysfunctional ways will resurface. Well, that's with every loss. That's with especially for Chicago fans. Because right now, there's a contingent, because they're Chicago fans. There's a contingent of Chicago fans, and every fan base has them. John, who's a Philadelphia fan. Philadelphia. How about the Mets fans? Every fan base has them. You have a loss, it's the end of the world. You have a win, it's the Super Bowl, it's next. John peeked already. It took 25 seconds. What the hell? Come on, man. There we go. Zach says, Eagle fans need to check their own drawers right now and focus on the Mets. Leave flyover country alone to manage our headspace. Dan says, record it, but stay off social media. Well, that I can do. However, I'm going to be at a card show where it's people are going to be watching the game. I'm going to be surrounded by hundreds of people who are all Bears, for the most part. There's a lot of fans in Janesville on the border. A lot of the dealers are coming up from Chicago. They're Bears fans. They're going to have their TVs on. They're going to have their phones on. They're going to have their iPads on. People are going to be talking about it. So I can't just shut off social media and ignore it. I'm going to know the outcome. And, I don't care. I am not somebody who records a game and has to and can't know the final score or the stats. Like, in a case like this, like Cubs games, there's 162 baseball games in a season. I don't care. I don't record games to rewatch. I don't rewatch baseball games. And I'm a far bigger Cubs fan than I am Bears fan. But with a Bears game, especially now, because I'm excited with this team and what they have going, and I have been since last year, I will record. Like, you can tell me the final score. You can tell me Caleb Williams threw for 300 yards or threw for 75 and 3 interceptions. I'm still going to watch the game. Now, I'm more privy to watch the game with a 300-yard passing game than I am 3 interceptions and a loss. But I don't care about the outcome. Like, I want to see the game. Like, I want to see how the game progresses. I want to see how Caleb Williams performs. I want to see how the offensive line, will they improve? I want to see all that. I don't really care about the stats and the scores. I want to actually watch the game play out. John says flying to Chicago tonight for some in-person reality disbursement. Max says on Williams, I understand you were already tempering on the team, on Caleb Williams. Yes, Caleb Williams is already better than Justin Fields. Caleb Williams was probably already better than Justin Fields before the NFL season started. Justin Fields is not a great quarterback. Caleb Williams is not a great quarterback yet. He has the ability, and he could be a great quarterback. He's not a great quarterback yet. Justin Fields, 3.5 seasons of NFL football, he is not a great quarterback. John says, go to the Car Dealer Pro Facebook groups. I'm sure there's a lot of former users wanting to dump their scanners. Oh, somebody asking about scanners. Okay, let's go to the very top of the chat. Max says, I pay very close attention to Swift's numbers. Actually, the only guy on the team I care about. 20 points in my lineup this weekend. Look at the first. I'm not talking about Max. It was the Carolina Panthers. Temper your expectations on DeAndre Swift. Max, temper your expectations. It was the Carolina fucking Panthers. Look what he did in the first 4 games. DeAndre Swift. If you pay so much close attention, tell me what he did in the first 4 games of the season. DeAndre Swift. I think Max is the one that needs to temper his expectations, right? Stats. 2024. Good. They haven't been updated with yesterday's games. DeAndre Swift, first 4 games this season, 53 attempts for 161 yards. He averaged 3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 161 yards, 1 touchdown through 4 games. Temper your expectations. John says, I typed in correctly. Teams will make adjustments to him with the more tape that exists. He will need to respond to those adjustments. There you go. Swift was a doormat after week 3. Really turned it around. Better vision, solid production the past 2 weeks. Where are we at? Bears were only favored by 3.5. They won by 26. We'll take that. Let's see. John says, Bo, you need to hook the cuff up and take a reading. Flawed Thinker says, I'm so glad the commies got Daniels over Williams. Jaden Daniels looking good too. I'd rather have Caleb Williams. Zach says, looking for confirmation. I told my close friend that the epic collapse by the Brewers was worse than the double doink. He agreed as a diehard Brewer fan. You're only one indecent exposure from a coach for back to where you came from. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, let's see. Where are we at? We've still got a lot of football talk. We're going to get to the beginning of the chat. We're gonna see some of the. We got some Brewers talk in here. Zach says, Bo, your energy right now is a waste. If you won't change Max's mind, don't LRS him back. Andy Max says, Max and Bo are throwing down at the next Madison Card Show Saturday, October 19th at the Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Taylor Swift's numbers have been great. She's people buying her $100 guitars for $4,000 and smashing them. That's 40x. That's better than Fanatics. Go take your fucking blood pressure. I don't want to. Stop flirting. Yeah, leave me alone, Max. He lost too much weight, wouldn't last around. But I'm quicker now. Brian says, Bears suck less than Panthers, and Caleb Williams threw for a lot of yards and a win. Andy threw a lot of yards and a loss. Can we move on now? Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, let's go back to the chat. Top of the chat. Steel Cards is in the house. Good morning, Steel Cards. George is here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Is it afternoon? I thought it was evening over there. What time is it in Korea? Good morning. Or good evening. Mr. Archer, good morning. Kevin Hawthorne's checking in from Lakeland, Florida. Hopefully you stay safe in the next round of tropical storms. Milton is hitting Florida soon. Cooter, good morning. Did Ernie pass his interview? Hopefully he does. He's still there. Hopefully he's doing well. I think so. Flawed Thinker says, go Commanders. So Ernie is Ernie's only what, five months old now. Biscuit I didn't know Biscuit at 5 months of age. And Biscuit was actually in the old, this is kind of, what's the term? What's the term I'm thinking of where it's what the recency bias is what I'm looking for. I think it's recency bias because in the last few years, Biscuit just didn't want to play with other dogs, didn't care about other dogs. But that was kind of Biscuit's personality, like even in her younger years. I don't know how she was like as a puppy, but my wife said Biscuit did not do well at doggy daycare. She just didn't play with other dogs. Ernie, on the other hand, fucking loves playing with other dogs. I think Ernie will enjoy doggy daycare. And hopefully he passes. Good morning, David. What's going on? Victor, good morning. He says hi to Ernie. Ernie's at Dogtopia. Go Bears, heading to London for the Bears game in a couple days. Oh, hell yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Orlando's in the house. Good morning. Troy is here. Good morning. Johnny M, good morning. I hate Sunday morning football games. I enjoy them. I like them. I like them better when it's not my team, though. Because I don't watch, I like having games on in the background. I watch the Bears games, but other games I just have on as background noise. So it was not like yesterday. It was nice when I was in here. It was nice having a game on in the background and not having just some random pregame show on. So in that world, but if my team plays, if the Bears are on, now it's a moot point next weekend because I'll be at a show anyway. But normally if it were like this weekend and my team was on in the morning, I would not like that. I prefer, depending on my schedule, noon kickoff. Like that's my preferred game time if I have nothing going on. Now, if I'm out of town or if I'm at a card show, then I want a 3:00 game. And I hate night game. I hate Sunday night football. Monday night football, I guess, is okay. Thursday night, I'm not a big fan of. I like my Sunday at noon. And it's okay. Like if my team plays on a Thursday night or a Monday night or a Sunday night, it's okay if I watch the game when I watch the game. But then, like, say if it's a Thursday night game, there's no game on Sunday. And it's like, oh, it's a waste of a day. Waste of a day. Where are we at? Philly Joe's in the house. Good morning. George says, dogs are big businesses. Yes, they are. Johnny Boy Cards is here. Good morning. Brian's in the house. Good morning. George says, Korea at an all-time low for births, and yet they are setting records for strollers for dogs. Dan says, someone shaved. I shaved yesterday morning. But for the next week, it will look like I shaved morning of. Cooter says, keep your tank full, especially if you buy only liquid corn. Helps avoid water in your tank. I do not buy liquid corn. I don't buy what's the E88 or whatever it's called. I just buy the unleaded, whatever it is. Zach says, I'm glad you two know yourselves well enough to not have kids. Oh my God. We would not do well with it. We're struggling with a puppy. Women can't live with them. Can't live. Never mind. Just the first part. Offbeat All-Stars. Good morning. Dan says, happy to see the Bears win in that fashion against Carolina. Absolutely. Brian says, sticking with 5 wins for the Bears, but I won't be mad if I'm wrong. Well, wow. So if Brian's sticking with 5 wins for the Bears, that's what, 5-12? 5-12. 5 games, 3. So there's 12 games left. So the Bears have to go 2-12 to make your prediction come true. Hopefully, we're a lot closer to 10-7 than we are 5-12. We talked all that football talk. Florida baseball card dudes in the house. Good morning. Brian says, thanks for all the sweet Nolan Ryans. Can't wait to get them. You are welcome, and thank you. Let's see. Cooter says, loved seeing the Dodgers get beat, but I hope MLB finds Tatis for taunting the Dodger fans. This isn't the WWE classless. I did not see that. I will have to go look for a video of that. Raphael is here. Good morning. John says it's Red October. No one cares about football. No, nobody cares about playoff baseball when your team's not in it. I don't care about playoff baseball. Let's see. Bears Jags on NFL Network next week. Where are we at? John says on people collecting Frank Thomas are recently deceased gray hairs, apparently. Let's see. Where are we at? George says 25 seconds is better than many men in your age range. You're in the top percentile, talking about John's peaky dance. Brian says, what is the least expensive scanner option for working with a program like Car Dealer Pro? I would suggest the Fujitsu or Ricoh 7030. You can find them refurbished, used online, eBay, Amazon for about, I'd say, an average of $250. About $250 for the 7030. You won't be able to scan any shiny stuff. Chrome cards do not work well with that scanner. If you want, I'm not sure if anybody uses the 7160. I've never used that model, but the 8170, you will be able to scan Chrome. It's hit or miss on some, depending on some of the backgrounds on those Chrome. If they're dark, it's gonna scan dark, and that's just because think of how a scanner works. So that's some of the images are not going to work well, but at least it scans them. 8170s are going to be higher priced. You can probably find them used in the $500 to $600 range. So if you're looking for the least expensive option that works with Car Dealer Pro, I would suggest the 7030. You can get them used for about $250. Let's see. Where are we at? Zach says, John, OJ did that in 1994. It didn't turn out well. Cooter says, nobody could tackle, cut, and run like OJ. Where are we at? George says, it's true that nobody could cut like OJ. Just ask his ex. Oops, you can't. Ooh, too soon? No, I think we can say that. Let's see. Where are we at? Double doink. Talking about the Brewers, also factoring in the euchre element of dying without a ring. Yeah, I think that will go down. That'll go down for the Brewers, similar to the Cubs with Ron Santo. Cubs win a ring without Ron Santo, and the Brewers will not win a ring with. The Brewers will probably win a ring at some point. I don't know if euchre will be around. Euchre has a ring, but it's just not with the team he's been with for 4 decades. Let's see. Where are we at? Zach says, watching a game is overrated. Listen to the radio or follow on your phone. It's a week 6 game. You will survive. I'd rather watch the game. I don't like watching football on the radio. Baseball on the radio, yes. I prefer baseball on the radio. Football on the radio, unless it's like a high school game. Unless my Anawan Wethersfield Titans are playing, I'll listen on the radio. But I'd prefer video to watch the game. Dan says, if I record the Bears game but find out they lost, I don't want to know. John says, ESPN made watching games irrelevant. Zach says, a ring with the Brewers, as they have never in the existence won a World Series. Buck's ring was the first ships since Alcindor. John says, Brewers are an expansion team. They need to wait a while. Let's see. Where are we at? Taylor Swift. John says, did you finish whatever the hell you were trying to build last night? So we were on a little Zoom call last night, and I was trying to clean my card room. I was organizing. What happens when I clean and organize my card room is that I start looking in boxes and finding stuff. So the good news is I've got some great stuff coming to auction starting. I put 100 auctions up last night. Let's get the banner going. There you go, 99centcards.com. 100 auctions went live last night in my eBay store, 99centcards.com. 7-day auctions. They'll be ending next Sunday. We had a refractor lots or refractor auctions end last night. No auctions tonight, but I may put some auctions up tonight. I'm not sure. I'd like to do 500 auctions per week, about 100 over a span, 100 each over a span of five nights: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm getting that. I think I've already used 300 auctions this month, 7 days in, 6 days in, because I may put more up tonight. We've got our Tuesday night auctions tomorrow night, and we'll stream live starting at 7 p.m. Central. And watch down. We've got the Walter Payton estate sale find in the SGC slab. That is up for auction. I think it's at $187.50. So get your bids in now on the Payton. So we'll be streaming and watching tomorrow night the Tuesday night auctions. So that's what I was doing last night. I was trying to get my card room organized. I've got a friend coming Wednesday. My buddy Shane from Iowa is coming to pick up a whole bunch of cards for a deal that we're doing. So I want to make it somewhat presentable and not an absolute mess. I actually had a dream about how messy my basement is. I had a dream Saturday night. I told my wife, and I said, I've been trying to organize my card room. It's just a mess. Like I had a dream that my basement was just an absolute disaster and I needed to clean it. And she goes, "It took you a dream?" She's like, "The reality is your basement's a mess." I'm like, I know. But it was worse in my dream. So I don't want to get to that point. So trying to organize and I realized as I'm trying to consolidate and move stuff around, I've got more cards than space. So I'm going to attempt, once I get some consolidation done, I've got enough for a bulk Facebook Marketplace sale. Who knows? Sometimes they sell in a day. Sometimes it takes a month to move my bulk. So we shall see. So that's what I was doing last night. I was actually pretty productive yesterday, despite watching the entire Bears game. But I was productive during the Bears game. I was listing auctions. I listed about 50 for Tuesday, scheduling auctions for Tuesday night for this week. Did some shipping, did some cleaning, did some listing. So a very productive Sunday. George says it's evening. My afternoon was a jab at your late start time. I figure it's afternoon there by now. Not quite. It's only 8 o'clock. Brian says, never experienced a hurricane, but I'm going to venture out and say hurricanes are worse than corn sweat. I think you're right. Urbina. Ernie, beginning the phase of life where he's asking, what the hell did I do to be shipped off to a boarding school? Dogs love doggy daycare, man. Biscuit didn't. Ernie will love, because he gets to play with puppies, man. He gets to play with puppies. It's funny because Biscuit loved people. Like, we would go on a walk and she would get excited to get petted by humans and she ignored other dogs. Ernie doesn't give a shit about people. He wants to play with other dogs and puppies. Years of therapy ahead. I think Ernie will enjoy doggy daycare more than he enjoys hanging out in my office watching me list baseball cards. Uncle Rich in the house. Good morning. Did anyone stay up for the end of the Cowgirls game last night? Not I. I didn't even look at other games. Yaz never won a ring. Who the fuck cares about Santo? I the fuck care about Santo. Who the fuck cares about Yaz? Nobody cares about fucking Yaz. Plenty of better players than Ron Santo haven't won rings. Horrible. Bob Uecker? We talked about Ron Santo because of Bob Uecker. Are you saying Bob Uecker? There's plenty of better players than Bob Uecker that never won a ring. We're talking Bob Uecker. We're not talking about best players that never win a ring. We're talking about icons of franchises. In both cases, Bob Uecker and Ron Santo, who were more known for their post-playing days than their playing days. If we wanted to talk about best players never win a ring, Ernie Banks for the Cubs would be number one. Max says, oof, watching is way better than radio. Can watch anything, anywhere now. I agree. Good morning, Double A Cards. Mark it down. 46 minutes into the show, and Max and I finally agreed on something. John says, does anyone really care about Bud Selig's Brewers? There might be one or two people. Bob Uecker cares about Bud Selig's Brewers. Taylor Swift, ears perk up. Oh, Uncle Rich, down boy. Johnny M says, busy day of pulling Mets and Phillies cards to sell at Citi Field parking lot before the game tomorrow. How about that? John says, takes me 25 seconds to move my bulk. I don't have a card shop that I can just walk into and say, hey, take my bulk. I wish I did. F-bomb. Here's the F-bomb. F-bomb Monday. Rich says, Uecker won a ring with the 64 Cardinals, but no rings as a Milwaukee Brewer honk. Double A Cards had my first sale on Collects. Hey, very nice. Yeah, we haven't talked about Collects yet today. Find me on Collects, COLLX. Let's see. I actually had a slow weekend on Collects. I did make some sales, but it was much slower. I am at I did sell a batch of cards yesterday though. I'm at 264 cards sold on Collects through 2 weeks in a day. So that's for under 3,000 cards. That's pretty good. Double A Cards with a sale. Follow him, follow me. Go to Collects, download the app, buy some cards. John says, you mentioning Santo ahead of Banks is horrible. Why? Why is it horrible? Ron Santo was more of I got to watch how I word this so it's not taken out of context. Ron Santo, for simplicity, because the subject was brought up regarding Bob Uecker, Ron Santo was the Bob Uecker of the Chicago Cubs, as Bob Uecker is to the Milwaukee Brewers, and never won a ring. It has nothing to do with the best players to never win a ring. It's the icons for what a man does. Ernie Banks did a lot for the Cubs post-playing career. He did some coaching. He was still, around the team in various capacities. But Ron Santo was like the face of the Chicago Cubs in terms of he was like the cheerleading face of the Chicago Cubs. Double A Card says, my dad loves Ron Santo. Max says, weather is beautiful. Last couple mornings there broke the streak. Actually, I agree. I agree with that too. It's been cold, but it's been nice. It's been sunny. It's been chilly. I'll take it. Zach says, Max, no one cares about nature. Jordan's in the house. Jaden Daniels is him. What's Jaden Daniels do? I mean, I've got a Jaden Daniels card. So here's why I love Jaden Daniels right now. Last week when was the last Madison card show? Last weekend? Yeah, I think it was. Or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. So Jaden Daniels, I pulled a Jaden Daniels out of a 50-cent box, and then I got a bulk discount. So let's just say I paid 50 cents for Jaden Daniels like Sage Hit or Leaf card. I put it at auction. It's already at like $6. And that was a 50-cent find out of the. I wish there was more. I pulled a ton of Quinn Ewers. I think his market's still suppressed because I don't even know if Quinn Ewers is back playing yet because he got hurt. But Quinn Ewers before he got hurt, was top quarterback in college football and arguably picked to be the number one draft pick next spring. So that's why I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan. Was that was a nice little 50-cent find. So 82% completion rate for Jaden Daniels. And well, that's through 4 games. I'm looking at Pro Football Reference. They don't have the week 5 games in yet. So 82 through 4 games, 82.1% completion, 897 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. What did he do yesterday? Jaden Daniels continues Superman act for Red Hot Commanders. What are his stats? You know, it's becoming harder and harder to find on Google stuff that I want. Like it used to be like Google used to know like, okay, this is what I want. Here, this is what I want. Okay. I want a fucking box score. Okay. Look, Jaden Daniels is him. He's playing well. Double A Cards says, can you explain your pricing strategy on Collect? Similar to eBay, I don't really have a strategy. I just price shit with whatever I want. Sometimes I'll price stuff at 25 cents. Sometimes it's 99 cents. Sometimes $1.50. Just kind of depends. So no, I don't have a pricing strategy for Collects or for eBay for that matter. Sometimes on eBay, I'll throw a batch of, it's like, okay, I want to move some cards. These cards will sell for 99 cents free shipping. Yeah, if somebody only buys one of them, I lose money, but maybe they come back and buy more. Or maybe they buy this card. Maybe they find, maybe it's 2020 Allen and Ginter and there's 7 or 8 of them they want, and I make 7 or 8 sales. Same with Collects. I'm in it to move bulk. Whether I sell it for 25 cents, 99 cents, I don't care. It's less fees on Collects. So that's what I'm looking to do. So I guess there is a strategy. Zach says, Bo, thanks for combining my invoice on my Brewer cards. Zach buying Brewers cards. Thank you. John says, one guy was Mr. Cub. The other guy played for the White Sox. Johnny M says those sales are mostly due to being featured. How do you know? Actually, a lot of those sales were before I was featured. I think I sold 100 cards before being featured. There are a lot of idiots on that site constantly getting messages, want to buy my cards. No, fuck off. There is. And that was something that I was told, like there are a lot of messages. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. It's like lowball offers on eBay. Just ignore them. I don't respond really to any messages unless it's important. John says, I had no idea Ron Santo was important. Uncle Rich says, Matt Bush back in the news for DFI again. 20 years on and some things never change. Wow. Matt Bush was one of those stories where number 1 overall pick, then he was in prison, right? For like 3 years or something. Made his way all the way back to Major League Baseball. And apparently he's like, that's like the life arch of Matt Bush is like Behind the Music on steroids. You know, it's like Behind the Music. It's like the come up, you're here, the fall, and then you're back. Matt Bush has had like 3 behind the music stories in his life. And he's probably my age, 40 years old, 45 years old. And maybe we'll see a couple more resurrections of Matt Bush. Probably not in Major League Baseball because he's old. Uncle Rich says, chili would be nice here in Texas, 90 by the end of the week again. And you're probably not going to believe this that's about to come out of my mouth. I actually prefer, right now, I would prefer the weather we are having. It's cold. I had shorts on when I took Ernie out to go potty this morning. I'm like, fuck, it's cold. I'm going to wear jeans today. I prefer that, though. Right now, October 7th, I prefer little chilly hoodie weather. Yesterday was a perfect shorts and hoodie day. Perfect. Saturday was a little warm. Saturday was pretty warm. It was like 80 degrees Saturday. I had to actually change into shorts and a polo. Yesterday, though, shorts and a hoodie was perfect. Today, I have to wear pants. But I prefer that over 90. Now, if it's July, give me fucking 95 degrees and humidity in July. It's October. I'm ready. Bring on fall, bring on winter, and we'll wait till next year for 90-degree weather. Zach says, scooped up some sweet John Hannah cards this weekend. I know his career will end up, not sure. I know how his career will end up. Not sure on Daniels, Williams, or Santo at this point. Max says, Rich can't help stupid, unfortunately. Zach says, quote of the year, similar to eBay, I don't have a pricing strategy. Your success is amazing. Here we are. Johnny M says, do you have a minimum sales amount set on X? I set it at 150. Oh, on collects. Basically 25 cents. If I go into my store, my Cubs cards, I'm setting at 99 cents because I don't care if I sell them or not. They're there for collectors, but I'm not looking to fire sale my Cubs cards. But my, let's sort by, all right, shit. So these are all, trying to find, all of these are Cubs. Sort by team. Okay, so 2002 SP Authentic Football. I think I priced them all at 25 cents. Jake Plummer, David Boston. There's even an Emmitt Smith. I've got an Emmitt. Nobody's bought my Emmitt Smith for 25 cents. 2003 Fleer Showcase, 25 cents. There is like $1 minimum you have to buy. But there you go. 25 cents is my floor. Sometimes you'll get Emmitt Smith. Sometimes you'll get David Boston. So 25 cents is my minimum, though I have a minimum set for Cubs at 99 cents because I'm not looking to fire sale those. So that's kind of how I roll. Zach says gifts for other collectors. So Zach is not jumping on the Brewer bandwagon. He's gifting them out. Mikey's here. Mikey's here smelling like pleasure spray. Good morning, Mikey. I hope your weekend brought you plenty of pleasure spray. And he's now shipping. It brought Mikey pleasure spray and a bunch of orders on eBay. Awesome. I don't even know who Matt Bush is. Sounds like he was inferior to Bill Long. I think Bill Long probably had a higher WAR than Matt Bush. Matt Bush. So Matt Bush, little history lesson. Matt Bush was the number 1 overall pick in what year? 2004. Matt Bush, not even 40 yet. He's only 38. He's just a young guy, 38 years old. San Diego, California, drafted out of high school, number 1 overall by the San Diego Padres. And then he was like arrested. So 2004 was when he was drafted. He didn't debut until 2016. Matt Bush. It's just Wikipedia, Matt Bush. Hit with DWI charges. Actually spent some time with the Milwaukee Brewers. Matt Bush, let's see. He's probably got his own criminality and incarceration. He's got his own section on his criminal acts on Wikipedia. So a few weeks after the Padres drafted Matt Bush number 1 overall, he was arrested on suspicion of felony assault, misdemeanor trespass, disorderly conduct, and underage drinking after he allegedly fought with security trying to escort him out of a bar. So that was in 2004. In 2009, Matt Bush was allegedly involved in a drunken assault at a San Diego high school, which was caught on camera. According to witnesses, a drunken Bush beat up a high school lacrosse player with a golf club. Wow, baseball, lacrosse, and golf all in one fight, while screaming, "I'm Matt fucking Bush," which was recorded on videotape. This led the Padres to designate Bush for assignment following the team's signing of Cliff Floyd and then traded him to the Blue Jays. Only a month later, he assaulted and berated a woman at a party in Florida and was released by the Blue Jays for violating a zero tolerance agreement. Fast forward a few years later to 2012. Bush was arrested and charged with 2 counts of DUI with property damage, 1 count of DUI with serious bodily injury, 1 count of leaving the scene of an accident with an injury, 1 count of driving with a suspended license, and 2 counts of leaving the scene of an accident with damage to the property. He hit a 72-year-old motorcyclist in Port Charlotte, Florida, running over his head as he fled the scene in a Dodge Durango. Oh, man. Tufano, who was the victim, survived the incident because he was wearing a helmet. God, thank God. Bush was arrested 3 miles down the road. He was on the road after getting kicked out of a nearby strip club for trying to climb on the stage. Wow, he was just going all out that night. When he was arrested, Bush had a BAC, blood alcohol content, of 0.18, more than double the legal limit in Florida. Bush spent the 2012 season housed at the Charlotte County Jail. Let's see. Bush remains a suspect in 2 other hit-and-run accidents further north on the Tamiami Trail in Venice that occurred earlier that day. The following Sunday, Rays general manager Andrew Friedman announced that Bush would never play for the Tampa Bay Rays organization again. He was placed on the restricted list. Blah, 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 blah. He was released in October. Let's see. So this was Bush's 3rd DUI conviction. He was banned from driving in Florida for 10 years after release from prison. In the process, Bush turned down a deal that had less prison time, 3 years, but with 7 years probation owing to past alcoholism issues. His victim in that hit and run also filed a $5 million civil suit against Bush, but settled for a reported $200,000. Bush was released from prison in 2015, and then he got back into baseball. The Texas Rangers gave him a chance, and he made it back. He recovered, he made it back, and he actually spent parts of 6 seasons in Major League Baseball with Texas and Milwaukee, most recently with the Brewers last season. And the downfall, again, with Matt Bush. Just this weekend, Matt Bush charged with DWI by the Arlington, Texas Police Department. Officers attempted to stop Bush after he was seen driving erratically. Bush evaded in his vehicle and caused an accident. He then fled the scene on foot before being apprehended by bystanders. Matt Bush has a big, big problem, and hopefully he gets help he so needs, whether it be in prison or in rehab where he can't leave. But Matt Bush, piece of shit. Zach says, this weather is wonderful. Fall is my favorite. 65 day, 45 at night. Some wind for free raking. Rich says, actually, he can't help addiction. No, it is a terrible, terrible, terrible disease. Rich says, being able to sell cards at 25 cents mean you have amazing flexibility in what you can list. Absolutely. You can do those 82 tops, downwards, and Fleer commons now. Absolutely. And that's another reason why I wanted to go on the Collects platform as opposed to Sport Lots. You know, I could do Sport Lots. I could do buysportscards.com. But what I couldn't do was scan them and list them directly to Collects and still use my organization system, tab 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, etc., without any sorting. I can list those 82 tops. So yes, absolutely. Let's see. Johnny M has been clean and sober. Congratulations, since 1985. Absolutely. I have a friend who similar shit to Matt Bush. For on one hand, I mean, he's done stupid shit. He's never killed anybody. But he's probably in jail right now, and he should be. He can't keep his shit clean. And we were best friends growing up, and I think his most recent incident was he broke into a motorcycle shop and he was drunk off his ass. He stole a truck, stole gas from a friend, and everybody's giving him all these chances and he just keeps fucking up. So on one hand, it's a terrible disease and it's the addiction that's taken over the person. But on the other hand, you've got to fight. And some people like Matt Bush or my friend can't fight it. And if the law doesn't step in to stop these people, addiction or not, they're going to keep doing it, and they will eventually kill somebody, which is very, very sad. Max quit chewing 4 years ago. Congratulations. Love it. Best decision I ever made, and is pretty easy once you get priorities where they need to be. Absolutely. Congrats, Max, says Orlando. John says, I just Googled drunken Bush, and my results were different. Rich says, I know Bo is trying to eat healthier, but a chicken Big Mac sounds like a one-time guilty pleasure. We had frozen pizza last night. The issue is, like, what I was going through in years prior, even 6 months ago, was I'd have a frozen pizza tonight, and then I'd go to the bar and eat a burger and have a few beers tomorrow night. And the next night I would have takeout. And then the next night I would have whatever. And hit the drive-through on the way to a card show and hit the drive-through after a card show. And that's when it's a problem. Now it's like, yeah, frozen pizza. Yeah. Today I'll eat a salad for lunch, and I'll probably eat something for dinner that's decent. And you know, it's all about controlling. And eating shitty is, you know, there are food addictions and all that. And it's hard to eat healthy. It's hard to kick, you know, sugar. It's hard to kick frozen pizza. It's hard to kick that shit. Johnny M says, great job. I gave up cigarettes in 87. I was allergic to alcohol. When I drank, I broke out in handcuffs. Unicorn Cupcake says handcuffs are a good motivator. Jordan says, so you're saying he isn't quite P. Diddy? Well, might have went to some white parties. Who knows? Orlando says, Bo needs to learn to cook much healthier. I can sometimes cook. I can grill. Cooking. Not so much. So that's what I had for today. Boy, we went off the rails today. Happy Monday. So hit up my eBay store, 99centcards.com. We've got that 25% off deal that's ongoing when you buy 7 or more items at regular price. That's for buy it now items only. It's 25% off at checkout, 99centcards.com. Did get some new stuff added this weekend to my eBay store. I've got auctions ending tomorrow night. Next batch of auctions ending Tuesday night. We'll stream live right here on this YouTube channel. 7 o'clock Central tomorrow night. We'll watch the auctions count down to the final horn. And I've got auctions that just started last night. Put 100 cards up. There's some Brady's. There's some Michael Jordans. Got some stuff right next to me. I've got an Andre Reed rookie. I've got some Peyton Mannings. There's an Emmitt Smith. I've got some 2002 Gridiron King serial numbers. Deion Sanders Upper Deck rookie, a pro set. CJ Stroud. Steve Atwater rookie. Troy Aikman star. 86 Topps McMichael. A Peyton. A whole bunch of Brady's. A few Michael Jordans. I've got some baseball. A bunch of Aaron Judge. Adley Rushman rookie. So some good stuff. Those auctions just started last night in my eBay store, and we'll have another round of auctions starting tomorrow night at 99centcards.com. Download the Collects app, COLLX, and shop my store. I've got about 3,000, just a little under 3,000 cards in my Collect store, as low as 25 cents. If you're a Cubs fan, I'm going to have maybe today. Where's my Cubs box? I've got a Cubs box around here somewhere. Looking to add another 2,000 Cubs cards to my inventory. And then I'll be breaking down some sets, probably some early 2000 sets, as well as some, like Rich mentioned earlier, I think I did find an 82 Topps box. So I'll probably just load the entire box up. So those will be in my Collect store very soon. I think that's enough shilling. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Rich says, I thought we were on point. Absolutely. We're on point by not being on point. Have a great Monday. We'll do this again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. Have a wonderful Monday.